What's up, babes? Welcome back to my channel. And today we are doing a sit down, chat with me type of video. And I thought it was a good topic to speak about because I think I'm going to discuss like some of the real issues that people are facing and I think internally debating for themselves. And it's kind of a bit more of a political conversation. And that is why aren't people having kids today? Or why are people, really turned off from having children today? And it's a huge topic of conversation in the world of politics. In the conservative world, there's a lot of conservative voices that really speak very, openly about this kind of thing and kind of more from a judgy standpoint or just from I think just more like of a passionate place, right? Because I don't think that it's really from a place of judgment. I think it's just more of a calling out the evils as they need to be called out, right? And I used to never be someone who cared about politics. I never really cared about them. It was just never something that really resonated with me, and I just paid no mind to it, right? But as I've grown older and just grown more emotional and like in spiritual, I think we should all be caring about politics, and we should all be paying more attention to the realities of the world that we're facing and the matrix that we're living in, right? A lot of the evils out there and the evil things and the evil people behind the policies that they're forcing upon us, right? So especially if you're Christian, you should be caring about policies and politics and future generations, because inevitably when we have kids and we leave kids to this world, they are the future generations, and everything that we are creating, the world that we're creating for them right now, we will be leaving to them. And so that's why we have to really set them up wisely in producing the best outcomes and policies for their generation and then generations to come, right? So there's a lot of evils out there, and there's a lot of, I think, underlying reasons as to why people don't want to have kids anymore, or why the conversation is so prevalent in politics right now. And, of course, due to social media, people have come forward more. And just because we live in such a like self-gratifying society, this generation is so self-gratifying, and a lot of that is due to social media, right? So with social media, people are coming forward and saying that they don't want to have kids, or bragging about their life without kids, and why they chose that lifestyle and how they're so much happier. And I think that that's why people are, more conservative people who chose to have children are more outraged by just these really extremists who come forward and then they make their whole identity and their whole pages about why they chose not to have children, and how they're pushing a message onto younger people that they shouldn't have children either, right? And at the end of the day, it goes against God's word. It goes against his teachings of, his beginning words of be fruitful and multiply the earth, right? Because it is in his best will that we create, we are fruitful, we come together as men and women, as masculine and feminine, and produce children, create life, right? And then leave wealth to that future generation. And wealth comes in many more forms than just money, right? Money, tangible resources. Wealth comes with passing on wealth can also come in the form of just generational wisdom. It comes in the form of having the right guiding, having the right politics, and showing a generation to sustain values that we have had for generations and generations past, and carrying those on because we see that that's what works best with our human biology and human psychology, and the relationship between men and women. Okay, so anyways, let me stop ranting about that part. But we should be caring about politics all in all, and especially if we are Christian. And we should just be, just kind of informed on a basic level of what is going on, what is happening, and really using our voices to speak out and speak against evils. Okay? So why aren't people having children? Well, this conversation obviously came about because on the conservative side, we saw that Trump's VP said he made some kind of comment about how single women who have cats are just becoming soulless cat ladies, and that they should not be running the country. Or we want to see, he was saying how he wanted to see more people having kids, and more and just that people who have children and families in general are going to have better value systems, and those are the people that we should be looking up to help run our country. And of course, right, the extreme leftists took this message and just completely obliterated every ounce of the message that he was trying to get across, right? Because they take something and they twist it and skew it to fit their own reality, fit their own story and narrative in their own head, okay? So they took that message and just ran with it, and basically said, well, why would we want him to run our country whenever he thinks that all single women who have no children and have cats, they have no purpose in society, and they should just be, sent away, right? That's what they gathered from what he was saying. But then, of course, his wife came back and said that obviously he meant it in a very he meant it well-mannered, and he meant that, well, what I just explained to you, and that obviously people take it to the extreme, that it doesn't mean that they have no purpose, and that all people are supposed to have families and children and marriages and stuff, because marriage is not in, we don't all have a vocation of marriage and family. And actually, if you're Catholic, you know this very well, because in the Catholic teachings, you see priests who, I'm not Catholic, so forgive me if I'm off with any of this, but you see priests who go on to lead lives of celibacy and no marriage and no family and just serving God, right? And even though I'm not Catholic, I think there's truths to that, right? Not everyone is called to have children. Not everyone is called to live, a life with marriage and family, right? Not everyone is called to do that. Some people are genuinely called to other things that service their community and serve God, right? There are many kids out there who, they don't have any homes. They need parents. I know this couple on Facebook, I guess just through mutual friends, and they have children of their own, but they also adopt like a lot of kids. And I think that this is amazing. Like, it's just so bizarre and crazy to me. People taking in children who are not their biological children and raising them. And they have this huge family, and half of them are not even for them. They just took them in and raised them, and obviously they are now. But it is crazy to me. And I think it's so amazing and so beautiful that they felt this drive and calling to do that, right? So some couples do even have that drive to maybe not have children of their own, but to, go out and adopt kids that already were born and don't have a loving family and loving parents to guide them through life, right? So, now wait, I done lost my train of thought. So yeah, I thought that this was like a really perfect topic for me to discuss because I I'm literally a childless cat lady. Okay, I'm a single, independent woman. I don't have children, and I actually don't really feel like it's a calling for me to have children. Um, I don't know. I don't feel like it's a calling. I never have felt like it's a calling for me personally, but I do have family members that do feel it's their calling. And honestly, most of my sisters and little cousins who are much younger than me and, you know, are very hell bent that they want to go on and have kids. And I think that's great. Like, I'm so happy for them. I think that they should have kids as soon as they find their husband, and they should start early, right? Because the more that you get older and more independent, the harder it is to really change your habits and brain waves of having to depend on someone and having to be responsible for another life, right? So when you're younger, that is the pro of having kids while you're in that very malleable state, while you still have that strong, strong desire. And another thing too is that sometimes when you get older, you kind of change your, you know, you're gonna change. You're gonna grow. Your perspectives on life is gonna change. Things that you experience and even values that you have for yourself when you're young, it's gonna change inevitably as you get older, right? But making that decision to have kids, find your husband and have kids, and decide to not pursue a life of college, going into debt and education and, um, just a vocation of a career path. If that's not truly what you want, then like I speak about this stuff a lot on my channel because I'm very passionate about young girls choosing to be in relationship and marriages and families rather than pursuing a career path of which the world is trying to push you into for very bad reasons, and for really reasons that root from evil. I'm sorry, but it really does. So I again, I want my younger cousins to pursue that family life if that is what they desire. And so for me, like when I was their age, 16, 17, 18, 19, I never felt like it was a calling for me. I never really had just a strong drive to find a husband and have children. I just felt like I had some kind of other calling. I felt like I wanted to be a role model. And even though I really never knew that I would be, in this world of speaking, and teaching men and women and leading people in their relationships and communication skills and just the whole world of men and women and trying to bring back the real truth of men and women, even though I never thought that would be my vocation, I still I don't feel this strong calling to have kids. So I think a lot of these reasons that I'm going to list for, why the people in the conservative world are very open and kind of seem a bit harsh and judgmental, even though I don't agree with that they are harsh and judgmental about it. Even though it might seem like they are being that way, there's always, always, always a deeper meaning as to why people are not having kids today, okay? There's always deeper meanings to everything, and we really have to peel back layers of these conversations. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just a deep thinker who always wants to just like I just want to get to the root, and I just want to like perspect every single angle from a conversation. I want to like dive so deep into thinking amongst these conversations. And so that's why I want to really, you know, give to you my ideas of why people are deciding not to have kids today. And you know what? This is a really great thing to bring up too. Just yesterday, I had a conversation with someone. I was having a conversation with a guy who I was asking him about his date, right? Because hello, I'm a dating and relationship coach who teaches men and women, and I want to understand. I want to have conversations with people. I want to ask questions. I want to understand their experiences in the dating world. It seems to be true that every single person agrees that it is garbage out there and that there is no more values and it's just a mad mess, right, in the dating world. Well, so I naturally attract conversations with older people. I naturally attract older people, wise people, people who are emotionally mature, people who have built something for themselves and in their life, people who are family-oriented people. I naturally attract conversations with those people. I never attract people my own age, right? So I was asking this guy about his date that he had went on or whatever, and he's an older man who already had his children, right? He was already married. He already had his kids. So he was like, oh yeah, the date went well. Like, she's a great girl, whatever, but I just can't, I don't want to waste my time, getting to know someone who might have an inkling that they still want to have children. And I was like, yeah, I totally understand that. Like, you've already had your kids. You, now in life, you want to, you don't want to raise another child. You'd rather just, have a wife and, just live life without raising kids, but just, doing other things, focusing on your job and focusing on your marriage, right? That's why the Bible says a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave unto his wife, and the two shall become one flesh, because obviously after your kids leave the house, it's just you and your spouse. That's why God also orders us to put our spouse first in our marriages, because your kids go on to leave and build their own families, but you are stuck with your spouse as one flesh forever. Okay, got off topic there. But anyways, I was saying that I understood, where he was coming from, and he had every right to have that value for himself, that, if a woman wanted to have kids, or even just maybe had some kind of drive to have kids, he didn't want to get in the way of that, because he didn't want to have kids. Like, I guess he was not willing to bend. Now, I actually proposed to him a counter argument that, hey, like, I actually know men who do have children and they're older, but if they got remarried, they would be open to having kids again, right? Not that they want to, not that they're out seeking that, not that that's their long-term goal, right? But if it just so happened to happen where obviously it would have to be discussed before marriage, I said they actually would open their minds and hearts to having kids again, right? And doing it all over again, because men can reproduce to the day that they die. It's just us that we have a biological clock ticking, right? Well, there was a guy that was sitting next to him, and he overheard the conversation, and he was like, I don't even know where he got this idea from, right? We were talking about it, very casually, and there was no harsh judgments about it from either side. But he said, oh yeah, like, kids are the worst. And I was like, wow, like, I can't believe that this young guy, like in his 20s, was really openly just saying, like, oh yeah, like, kids are the worst. Like, how horrible for you to think that kids are some kind of disease, right? And I get that that's coming from somebody else. Somebody else somebody else indoctrinated this narrative onto him. And that's why he's developed the belief system that kids are the worst and kids are a problem, right? And I was very like taken back by it, but at the same time, I wasn't really that shocked. My sister has two babies right now, and she just loves them. And do you know that she, with her first one, she was very frantic. She was all over the place. Very just emotionally just not grounded. And now that she's on her second one, she's like, I just want to have so many more. And I'm like, wow, like that's amazing. Like, alrighty, so it is almost nighttime, but I got cut off, so we're in a different spot right now. So yeah, I encourage my sister, that I think it's great. She wants to have more, and the bigger the family, the better, right? So I say all of this as someone who is literally a childless cat lady, okay? Speaking of, this one just came in in my lap. Isn't her so pretty? So I'm a childless cat lady, and I'm not offended by that comment. I'm just not offended. I wear my helmet. I don't get offended by just stupidity and nonsense like that. I know where to focus my energy, right? And it's not on being offended or finding stupid things to be offended about. Anyways, girl, what do you have on your paws? Okay, so what are some of the reasons as to why people are having less children today or having less desire to have children today? So number one, I will say, is the untraditional world that we live in, where women cannot be home with their kids and feel like they need two incomes to live on. And we as women, we are internal. We are nurturers. We are caretakers. We are homemakers. We focus so much on the internal world of our peers, of our families, of our relationships. We focus on the internal energy of our homes and making it feel pleasurable to be here, and making it feel cozy and just a loving space, right? That's why we care so much about decorating our places and just giving it that personality and that sense of like character in our homes, because we are just internal as women. And a good analogy for this is that we come from the internal body of a man, because when God created Adam and Eve, he created Adam first. He gave him a job to do. He said, do this, 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 and this. He gave him a purpose to fulfill. And then he said, okay, now you are worthy of a woman. I will make you a helpmate. And so he pulls and forms Eve from the inside of Adam's ribcage. So we are just more focused naturally on the life of our relationships. And, that a part of that is our children. And so why would women want to have kids? Or it's very understandable as to why they would question if they want to have kids, if they literally fear that they can't raise their kids at home, that they are fearing that they will have to stray away from the home in order to go out and make some bacon for the family along with the husband, right? Forget all the polarity stuff. Forget all of the chaos that happens when you disrupt the polarity of that. But just the simple idea that, okay, if I can't stay home and raise my kids because I have to work, because I have to provide an income, why should I have kids, right? I can't raise them. I have to send them off to daycare. This is what young women are witnessing. More and more and more and more families sending their kids off to daycare, moms not being at home, and then them having to pay somebody to raise their kids, right? Astronomical bills. And bills that are not even needed just to keep up with that life. Okay? So this is a very real fear, and you can't really blame women, especially young girls who really don't know like anything but the school system, right? They're being sent to school. They don't know any other way of being and thinking. And you can't really blame them for fearing that, right? It is heavily influenced by culture and just by people around them. So the next reason, which again, this leads me to the second reason as to why people are not having kids anymore, and that is the lack of wages and financial struggles, right? The inflation that we are experiencing right now is completely absurd. Every single person is, you know, every single person is hit with this inflation. Every single person is having to struggle through or, figure out things more intensely and thoroughly in their financial life, just because of how the economy is. From one standpoint, it's the best that it's ever been. From another standpoint, it's the worst that it's ever been, right? The average American is struggling to literally keep a roof over their head and keep food on the table for their families. I mean, there's like 400% increase or something like that in just groceries alone, right? So the rents of apartments and stuff are literally the same price as mortgages on a home, and Americans are no longer wanting to buy homes. We pretty much live to work, and we no longer work to live. And so how can people be excited to have children when they cannot even afford to keep up with their own lives? They feel like they literally cannot keep up in paying their bills because their wages are still the same as it was 10, 15 years ago, but the price of living has gone astronomically up. How can they feel like they can ever get ahead by working their, 9 to 5 job day in and day out and really hustling, feeling like they have no time for themselves and no time for their families? They feel like they can't keep up. So why would they even think ahead about having kids when they're so caught up in the struggle of living paycheck to paycheck? And by the way, I'm not talking about like people that, create situations for the kids. There's always people that just, they victimize themselves. They, they create situations in their life because they, maybe, sometimes it's just, it really is the person's fault as to why they can't keep up. They can't pay their bills or whatever. Like, I'm not talking about just those people. I'm talking even like Christian families, Christian single moms who have to leave their home and, provide for their families on their own. Even these people are struggling. So, they're relying on God to, get them by and just keeping the faith of keeping up with their finances. but they're still struggling in finding that peace in their finances. So it's a real heartbreaking problem out there. And I hurt so much when I hear the women like thanking God for that. I feel a sense of peace. But when I hear people complaining about it and just talking about the real issues of the inflation, um, it really hurts me. And just I scroll on Facebook, and I consistently, especially right now because we're in a very heated political time. Sorry. And so I scroll, and I see just all of these stories, or problems that people are facing in being able to pay their bills. And so when one person, or when I'm scrolling through that and I'm seeing all of these people like be outraged about their insurance or whatever going up, which we should be outraged, right? It's fear that literally like rubs off on me. That all of that fear is like people are going to feed into that fear, and all of those fears are going to be they're going to be fed into, and they're just going to rub off on you inevitably. And does that make sense? So like when I read this stuff, it ends up rubbing off on me with those complaints and those fears of not being able to keep up. And so then I start questioning, and I start fearing for my future, in finances, and like questioning, well, how am I going to do this and this? Like it's a very contagious energy, and it naturally feeds it naturally feeds other fearful energy. Okay, Siri, just stay right here, okay? So yeah, the average American is not a millionaire, and that's just a small percentage. And most just traditional people, most families that are just wanting to live a very simple traditional life, they don't want to like build businesses. They don't want to become like pop rap artists. They just want to live a basic traditional life. Like, this is the average person. They want to live a basic traditional lifestyle with their families, and just make it by, have extra money in the bank to, go on vacations, or, have a little fun from time to time, go out with the family every once in a while. They don't want anything extravagant. They just want the simple life. And even their dreams of that are they're feeling like they're being crushed in an economy today. So yeah, the lack of the wages and the financial struggles, especially for men, right? For men who are wired to protect and provide resources, they are really struggling with the financial crisis, because they just feel so wired to do that. And when they can't do that, they lose a lot of their self-esteem. They lose so much of their confidence. They lose so much of their masculinity. And it's literally like this society was built to target men's masculinity. Okay, this is why we don't follow political advice from celebrity pop cultures such as Taylor Swift, okay, who is endorsed and paid by a certain campaign to endorse that political party. You know what I mean? We don't follow advice from those celebrity pop cultures because they don't live in reality. they don't live the average American lifestyle. They are like, what, 1%? I don't even know if that, I don't know what the percentage is, but they are a very tiny, tiny percent of the population. And they're living just this extravagant lifestyle of flying from one country to another every single day, performing for millions of people, making billions of dollars every single day, okay? That's not the average American. And the average American doesn't even want that kind of lifestyle. So they live in this warped reality. And yet we want to take advice, political advice, from a celebrity who never struggles with money and is being paid to endorse a certain political party. But we want to follow their advice, right? Because, oh, they make such pretty songs. Oh, all their songs just hit my heart and they just feel so good to listen to. Moving on. The next reason why people are not having children today, and that is the indoctrination of school and college and debt. Just all in education, right? Girls go to school very young age, mixed with boys, right? We're in these co-gender schools. And the school system is teaching them a lot of baloney that they're never going to need in life, right? And it's mostly all rooted in lies anyway, right? It's all curated for to push a certain agenda. That's what it is. And you know what's so funny? I'm gonna get off topic for a minute here, but it's just so funny to me how my soul always intuitively knew this. It always intuitively knew this. Because when I was younger, I hated school. Hated school. I hated it. I cried every time I had to go, and I went to public school. I cried every time I had to go to school. I got sick. I was sick most of my childhood. I was in and out of hospitals. I was in and out of, like, therapies, counseling. Like, I was sick in school. Just all throughout my childhood years and into my teenage years. I just hated it so much. And it's almost like my feminine soul intuitively knew that, and I came from a Christian family, you know, but it's like I knew that wasn't aligned to me, that none of the education in school was aligned to me and with what my soul craved, what my soul knew to be true. And so these women that are obviously being sold, you know, into this career path and narrative, and that they need to go on and, you know, hustle, bustle, make a lot of money, you know, become very masculinized and go to college after they get out of school and really go into debt. That's what most women are, both men and women, right? But actually women are outnumbering men going to college now. So more women are graduating from college. So they're having to, they think that they have no other option except to go to college and put themselves in extreme debt and then work the rest of their lives in order to pay off that debt, when all they wanted to do was become a mom and maybe work at a paint shop, you know, in the neighborhood, or work at a thrift store in the neighborhood. They just wanted to live these simple lives. And they just feel so pressured into going to college, because school really does mold you into sending you off to college. They mold you into desiring that and thinking that that's what you want, that's what you should want for yourself, right? That's why my message, ladies, if you are on here and you are watching me and you are a young girl and you have and maybe maybe you're already graduated from school or you're still in high school or whatever, and you're just starting to question things for yourself, and you have this question within yourself if you want to go to school or not, and maybe you feel really pressured from your peers, from your school, from your principal, from your parents. Maybe you feel this heavy pressure because, oh, my parents went to school, they want me to go here. If you feel this pressure, but you are really starting to question what you want for yourself and where you foresee your life and all of these things that inevitably can come from school, which, by the way, I'm not against it, okay? Hear me out. If you believe that it will polish you up and you really feel a calling to go to school for something very meaningful, purposeful, and holds a lot of value in your life, then by all means, you have to do what God calls you to do. But if you are questioning that and maybe wanting to change your direction, you have to think for yourself, and you have to understand that the people in your school system, principals and peers and stuff, again, they're only teaching to you what they know, what they did. Just because they are older than you does not mean that they know more than you, and does not mean that they are wiser than you. Does not mean that they made better financial decisions in their life and know what's best for you, okay? So you have to make that decision for yourself, whether you want to go to school or not. And if you're not sure about it, that's okay too. Because you can grow a little bit more. You can go work some, basic job in your hometown and do that for a while. Enjoy it. Relish in it. Find other things that fulfill you. Find your passions. Find hobbies for yourself. Make money from your hobbies, right? I got off topic. Let me see where I was. I tend to do that. I get on these things and I just press record for hours. And then I just go off on tangents. But sometimes that's fun. Sometimes I like to do that, because even though it's less structured than some of my other videos where I'm just kind of recording and getting to the points of what I want to say, I like going off on tangents and feeling more connected to you guys, and trying to relate to you with my own stories. So yeah, the just the push of school and college is really straying people from wanting to have kids. They're just so masculinized, and they're very confused, and it's just okay, well, why would I want to go on to have kids when I could have this great career and could succeed in A, B, and C, and go to college and live this party lifestyle, and all of this stuff that college people brag about, whatever. It seems so fun on the other side, but it's really destructive to our brains, bodies, and souls. So, okay, next reason why men and women are deciding not to have children anymore, and simply because of the crisis of disease and illness in the American culture. The diseases that women are having from living a very unnatural, disconnected lifestyle. We disconnect ourselves so much from nature itself. We strip ourselves of everything that is natural for us to do, that we feel naturally inclined to pursue and fulfill, and we compensate for it with fake, superficial crap. We pretend like we don't know what's going on and why our body is speaking to us, telling us that something feels off, something feels imbalanced, something feels sick and heavy. And our body communicates to us when we are unaligned to our nature, to our natural hormonal cycle. It communicates signals to us of that. And we just ignore it and rather suppress it and then throw a pill in our mouth to literally numb and distract ourselves from those feelings. And you guys, this is another thing that I'm so passionate about too, because I'm passionate about a lot of things, okay? Men and women and relationships being number one. But especially with the pharmaceutical system and how evil it is and how it is literally witchcraft in the Bible when we overuse pharmaceutical pills and we throw pills into our mouth in order to numb ourselves to pains instead of using that as a guide, our intuitive guide. My sheet fell. I'm waiting for curtains to come in so I can actually put curtains up, but I'm using sheets for now and they're like pinned up there and it just fell, so it just needs to be like replaced into a different hole. So anyways, yeah, instead of using it as an intuitive guide to us to find better holistic solutions. So, it makes me so heavy to like pay attention to. Oh, let me let my cat out. Okay, baby. Okay. Oh boy. Okay. So, I'm in an environment very often where I witness people who are very heavily influenced by drugs, and I know the appropriate containers where I can and can't, say certain things. This is where I channel that energy. My content is where I channel the energy of advising and like wisdom, channel energy of knowledge, and just things that you can't really just openly throw out there in a work environment or in a certain environment, right? So this is where I channel my energy for that. Well, I want to so badly let people know the truth because it hurts me to understand that they don't know another way out. They think that going to the doctor and being prescribed A, B, and C pills is the only way for them to feel relief from whatever problems that they are facing. And that is 1000% not the truth. And I want you to know that I, again, was sick growing up all my childhood, into my teens, went to therapy, did the whole counseling thing, antidepressants, anxiety, bipolar, like just all of these crazy mental diseases that the Western world literally makes up in their head in order to slap a label on you, attach yourself to that identity, and throw a pill in your mouth in order to sell you a pharmaceutical pill so that they can run the world. As someone who has dealt with all of that, grew up in doctors, is that there is a better way out. And if you want natural, healthier solutions because you actually care about your body, especially if you are a woman who wants to have children eventually and stay fertile, you have to be informed of the holistic ways, because birth control is evil. Disrupting your hormonal cycle is evil. Not living according to the rules of your cycle as a 28-day cycle as a woman is destroying your ability to have children and stay fertile. Okay? There's a lot of factors into why women are not having kids, and a huge one is because of the infertility from plastics, pesticides, pharmaceutical pills, birth control. This is all stuff that they're not going to tell you at the doctor's offices, okay? Hormone disruptors, all the endocrine disruptors, all the food that we're consuming, the convenient food, right? The lack of cooking nourishing food at home because you're out slaving to the workforce day in and day out. Slaving to it. That messes up your hormonal cycle. We are not the same as men. And we are disrupting our fertility just by simply not understanding our own bodies, because they don't teach you hormonal cycles in school. Oh, they teach you all about biology and chemistry and whatever. I never remember learning about testosterone, estrogen, brain chemistry. Everything that I'm teaching to you now, I never remember learning about any of that in school. I learned about a lot of useless shit, okay? A lot of useless stuff. I hated it. So yeah, that's a huge reason why women are not having kids. They literally can't. Their bodies are so imbalanced. Their hormones are completely wacky. They don't understand their emotions and how that all is intertwined with their cycle, their 28-day cycle, and how it is completely a world apart, a planet apart from a man's 24-hour cycle. They're confused, right? They can't have kids. They're infertile, and they're dealing with a lot of diseases and sicknesses from that. So it's this constant stress. They're living in a constant stress state, high cortisol state, alert state. Their bodies are literally like fighting to keep up when forces on the outside world are pushing against its nature. Your body knows what to do. Your body has wisdom. Your body knows how to heal itself. God literally put that within us that for our bodies to heal. When you get a cut, what does your body do? It starts attacking that area in order to heal it. Your body does that. But we're not taught this stuff in school. So women, they don't know this. They're not informed of it. And then they're becoming infertile, dealing with their fertility issues because they've been on birth control since they were 13 years old, right? And it's screwing them up. So, last reason that I'm going to talk about as to why women are not having children, men and women are not having children. We are in an identity crisis. Can we not see this very clearly? Boys don't even know that they're boys, or they want to pretend to be girls because they're scrolling on TikTok and finding out that this is apparently what people their age and peers are doing. Girls are thinking that they're boys simply because they're being forced to go to school with boys, play with boys, do what boys do, chase a career, make a lot of money, be independent, do what boys do. They're confused about their gender. Do we understand how how malleable and moldable the young brain is? We're in an identity crisis. Young people don't know who they are anymore. They don't know if they are a woman in a woman body bathed in estrogen, or if they are a male in a male body with a male brain with a hypothalamus that has a sexual pursuit area 2.5 times larger than the female brain. And they're questioning, and they're being shamed, actually. Men are being shamed, young boys are being shamed for their masculinity, for their attraction to females. They don't know what to do or think. They don't know. They're in an identity crisis. You think young girls are thinking about kids in their future? They don't even know who they are. They don't even know that they're a woman. They're not even sure that they want to be a woman. And a young kid, you can't really blame them. You can't really blame them for not knowing if they want to be a woman. They've been taught and indoctrinated that being a woman is hard. They're being forced to go to school and act like a boy and show up like a man and think like a man and do like a man and chase like a man and sleep around like a man. Why would they want to be a woman? Why would they want to have children? They don't know who they are. The girls want to be boys and the boys want to be girls. Transgenderism. Mental disease, huh? We're never afraid to call a mental disease out when it's a mental disease. We're never afraid to attach ourselves to a mental disease identity. Oh, I'm so depressed. I have depression. I gotta take my pill every 8 hours. Oh, I'm so bipolar. My emotions are up and down all the time. No, you're a woman with different brain circuitry than a man. You don't understand yourself. You don't understand your psychological system. We're never afraid to call ourselves, anorexic, schizophrenic, but we never want to label transgenderism or not knowing who you are, if you're a man or a woman, as a mental disease. When it is a mental disease. It's coming from culture. It's coming from men being shamed of masculinity, women being forced to be masculine and career-driven. I'm losing my train of thought by now. So, all in all, nature always wins. What God designed our bodies to do, they do. God gave us these sexual drives to go and be fruitful and multiply the earth. Girls inevitably end up falling in love, going crazy over some guy, and nature takes over and pops out children, right? Well, what does the devil do to fight against that is, even though nature takes over for us and we end up getting impregnated, the dark evil side says to you that you should abort your child, right? Because God says be fruitful, multiply, and so the enemy fights back against it and says, no, you should kill, steal, and destroy. I am going to stop ranting on and on. I think this was a good conversation, and the topic was, it came up, after seeing so many posts about like people getting so offended by the conservatives who speak up about people like not wanting to have kids anymore, and why it's a problem, and why like having strong family units is so vital for a strong society, right? Because family units are the pillars of a strong society. Strong men lead strong families. Okay? And when you have strong masculine men, no government or outside evil forces can come against that. And so, what do they attack? Masculinity. Which is why we are in a very worldwide male crisis. Okay, guys, I am going to get off of here. I need to go take a shower. It is 11 o'clock at night. I hope you guys enjoyed this message. I hope it wasn't too all over the place. Sometimes I just be doing that. I don't think that I'm very good at this kind of thing. I do like doing just live. I do like doing live sessions, answering questions and things. But yeah, they end up being a lot longer videos, and I rant and stuff. So yeah, I like to go back and forth. Again, I'm ranting here. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know if you have a topic that you want me to discuss, or a question that you want to be answered about your relationship, your dating experiences, how to be more womanly and feminine, how to attract more of a masculine man, what are the traits of a masculine man, how do masculine men show up, all of these questions that you are asking yourself because you have been so heavily brainwashed by a school system who taught you none of this, and maybe by parents too who also taught you none of this, because they instead decided to force you to go to school. You can send me a message, a DM, an email. Everything will be listed down below for you to check out. And of course, if you're dating out there, check out the Feminine Dating course. They have a lot of great information, valuable information for you if you're feeling very intimidated by that world, as it sometimes definitely feels like. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.